You were never created to shrink into a space that cannot contain the fullness of your becoming. You were never meant to water yourself down to fit the appetite of someone who doesn't know how to feast on wholeness. You were never designed to dim your light just because someone else finds your brilliance too loud. The very breath in your lungs carries divine intention. So no, settling is not your portion. Sometimes the world tries to convince you that what you carry is too much, that your dreams are too big. Your desires too bold, your voice too strong. But I need you to know there is nothing excessive about you. You were shaped by the hands of a God who speaks in abundance, not lack. He placed vision in your heart and wrapped it in purpose. Every idea, every hope, every stirring in your spirit, it all matters. It all speaks. So if you've ever found yourself lowering your standards to be chosen, I want to gently remind you, being chosen means nothing if you have to lose yourself to fit into the hand that picks you. Love that demands your silence is not love. Opportunities that require your compromise are not favor. Friendships that only flourish when you are emptying yourself are not rooted in truth. You were never meant to bend until you break. The life you're called to requires you to stand whole, worthy, and unshakable. You see, settling isn't always loud. Sometimes it creeps in quietly. It looks like staying in a relationship just because it's familiar. It sounds like accepting a job that steals your peace just to keep up appearances. It feels like choosing comfort over calling, but God never called you to the comfortable. He called you to the extraordinary. The stretching, the trusting, the growing, it's all a part of the journey. And yes, it will require your faith. But even when it feels like you're stepping into the unknown, remember, He goes before you. I know it can feel like time is slipping. Like the clock is ticking a little louder these days. Maybe you've looked around and started to believe you're behind. That everyone else is building, becoming, blossoming, and you're still waiting. But hear me clearly, God is not late. He is strategic. He is intentional. And if you would only see yourself through His eyes, you would know you are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are being preserved for something so specific, so sacred that settling would only sabotage the blessing. Dear woman, you are not desperate. You are discerning. You are not lacking. You are layered. You are not difficult. You are divine. There is purpose in your worth is not dependent on validation. It is not tied to relationship status, income bracket, or applause. Your value is rooted in your identity, and that identity is unshakable. It is secure. It is sacred. So when the world tells you to shrink, I hope you remember who you are. When loneliness whispers lies, I hope you speak truth louder. When fear tries to cage your potential, I hope you rise in power, because you are not just any woman. You are a kingdom woman. You are a woman who carries legacy in her womb, legacy of hope, of courage, of change. You are a woman whose prayers shift atmospheres, whose laughter heals hearts, whose presence commands peace. Settling is not your story. Settling is not your ending. Don't settle for love that only loves the idea of you. Wait for the one who sees you, all of you, and still chooses to stay. Don't settle for opportunities that require you to pretend. Wait for the door that opens because of your authenticity. Don't settle for narratives that say you have to earn your worth. You were already chosen before you ever performed a thing. There is a table with your name on it, and no one can take your seat. Yes, it might mean saying no to good things while you wait for the God thing. It might mean walking away from what looks appealing but lacks anointing. It might mean standing alone in seasons where compromise looks easy. But trust me when I say obedience always births overflow. God doesn't ask you to let go of something unless He's about to give you more than you could ask, think, or imagine. You were made for impact. You were made for influence. You were made to walk in power and purpose. And when you settle, you rob the world of the woman you were created to be. So don't let fear lead you. Don't let doubt distract you. Don't let weariness decide for you. You are stronger than you think, wiser than you know, braver than you feel. The life you dream of, It's not too far off. The desires of your heart, He sees them. And in the waiting, in the refining, in the becoming, He is building something beautiful, something eternal, something that cannot be replicated. But you must stay the course. You must believe when it's hard. You must fight for the vision when it's quiet. Because when it comes, it will be worth every moment of faith. Dear woman, don't settle. Because your calling is too great, your voice too powerful, your light too necessary, your presence too impactful. There are people connected to your yes, generations tied to your courage, destiny waiting on your obedience. So rise, breathe deeply, shake off the dust of disappointment, look in the mirror and remind yourself you are worthy of every good thing. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are blooming even here, even now. And most of all, you are deeply, fully, eternally loved. You are not too much. Your fullness was divinely designed. There's a quiet lie that sometimes wraps itself in logic, in past experiences, or even in cultural expectations. It's the whisper that says you're too loud, too emotional, too ambitious, too intense. And if you're not careful, you'll start to adjust yourself in little ways, bit by bit, just to fit into a space that was never built for your brilliance. You'll lower the volume of your voice even when truth is bursting to speak. You'll shrink your dreams so others won't feel uncomfortable. You'll tone down your joy so you're not too much for the room. But the truth is, you were never created to live in parts. You were never called to be a diluted version of yourself. There is a fullness to you that was crafted on purpose. Every layer of your personality, every ounce of your strength, every depth of your tenderness, it was all handpicked by the God who makes no mistakes. You were designed with intention. Your emotional depth is not a weakness. It's a superpower. Your boldness is not a burden. It's an assignment. The way you walk into a room and shift the atmosphere with your energy, your laughter, your presence, that's not extra. That's divine place. Heaven saw fit to place that much light in you because the world needed it. Sometimes, people who haven't learned how to carry the weight of authenticity will try to convince you that your fullness is a problem. But their inability to handle you has nothing to do with your value. You are not too much. They are simply unprepared for the kind of presence that refuses to dim. The ones meant to walk with you will honor your depth, not fear it. They will rise to meet your frequency, not ask you to come down to theirs. You don't need to be a less to be loved. You don't need to be quiet to be respected. You don't need to be passive to be accepted. The right people, the right spaces, the right assignments will never require you to choose between being fully you and being fully seen. In fact, the right environments will make room for you. They will stretch to hold the weight of your calling. So when the urge to minimize yourself shows up, pause. Ask yourself, who told me I was too much? Whose voice is shaping the way I see myself? And then, with grace, release that narrative. Because the truth is, the fullness of who you are is not accidental. It is necessary. It was crafted with vision. It was made to fill gaps that only you can fill, to speak words that only you can say, to love and lead and create in ways that only you carry. Being chosen means nothing if it costs you your identity. There's a hunger in all of us to be seen, to be wanted, to be chosen. It's part of what makes us human. We long for connection, for recognition, for belonging. But sometimes, that desire can pull us into dangerous territory, spaces where we begin to believe that being picked is more important than being preserved. And before we know it, we start molding ourselves to fit into places that were never meant to hold the real us. We start saying yes to things our spirit is saying no to. We start changing our voice, our pace, our vision, all for the sake of being selected. But here's the thing. If someone or something only chooses you when you've edited yourself beyond recognition, they haven't chosen you. They've chosen a version of you that doesn't exist. And the cost of that kind of acceptance is far too high. Because when you compromise your identity to be chosen, you're not walking in favor, you're walking in disguise. You might get applause, you might get attention, but deep down, You'll feel the ache of knowing you've abandoned your truth. There is no fulfillment in being celebrated for who you're pretending to be. It's a hollow praise, and eventually the mask gets heavy. The pretending wears thin, because no matter how good you get at performing, your soul will always crave authenticity. That craving will show up in the quiet moments. It'll tug at you when the room goes silent, when the crowd is gone, when you're left with just yourself. And in that silence, you'll begin to feel the weight of what it costs to be chosen. The truth is, your identity is sacred. Your values, your voice, your essence, those things are not negotiable. They are the very things that make you you. To give them up for a title, a relationship, a platform, or a perception is to say that being accepted matters more than being aligned. And alignment will always be more valuable than applause. You don't have to become less to be loved. You don't have to lose your voice to gain proximity. The right people, those who are assigned to your journey, will choose you without needing you to sacrifice your core. They will honor the truth of who you are. They will protect your growth, not hinder it. They will challenge you, yes, but not into conformity. They will challenge you into deeper authenticity. Don't confuse visibility with validation. Just because you're seen doesn't mean you're safe. And just because someone chooses you doesn't mean they see you. Being chosen should never feel like you're disappearing. It should feel like you're becoming more of who you were always meant to be. Because real love, real favor, real purpose, they never require your identity as payment. Comfort is not confirmation. Purpose often requires stretching. It's easy to believe that when something feels good, it must be right. That ease is a sign we're on the right path. That peace always looks like still waters and quiet rooms. But purpose doesn't always introduce itself with a soft whisper or an easy yes. Sometimes it comes in the form of tension, in the stretch, in the discomfort of stepping into something unfamiliar. Because what grows you rarely feels comfortable at first. We were not created to remain in places that keep us unchanged. The safest space is not always the most sacred one. And if we equate comfort with confirmation, we'll end up staying in relationships that no longer serve us, holding on to habits that block our growth, and saying no to doors God has opened simply because we're afraid to leave what's familiar. But purpose often lives on the other side of the unknown. And it takes faith to walk into rooms where your feet have never been, trusting that your purpose is waiting there. Sometimes the stretching feels like loss. Like letting go of people you thought would walk with you forever. Like closing chapters that still feel incomplete. Like saying yes to assignments that make you question if you're truly ready. But the stretching is not punishment. It's preparation. God uses discomfort to grow capacity. What once felt too big, too intimidating, too far out of reach, starts to feel like home once you've walked with Him through the stretching. If we only pursued what felt easy, we'd never experience the fullness of who we are called to be. We'd never know the depth of our strength, the reach of our resilience, the power of our obedience. Growth requires tension, elevation requires release, and transformation always requires surrender. That means leaving behind what's good in search of what's divine. That means not settling for a counterfeit peace just to avoid the pressure of becoming. The truth is, comfort can become a cage. A beautiful, well-decorated, quiet cage that keeps you from destiny. It can feel safe while quietly stifling your voice, your ideas, your call. And if you're not careful, you'll start mistaking stillness for peace when really it's fear. Fear of failure, or fear of not being enough. But fear of being seen. But fear isn't a compass. Faith is. And faith will always call you beyond what you can see and carry along. Purpose requires movement. It requires decisions that challenge your current version of yourself. It requires walking even when the path isn't fully lit, trusting that each step forward will reveal what you need. You were never meant to live stuck in cycles that feel safe but suffocate your spirit. There is more in you. There is more for you, but you'll never access it while clinging to the familiar. The growth you desire is waiting on the other side of the stretch. Your worth is not negotiable and does not require validation. There is a quiet strength in knowing who you are, even when no one claps for it. When no one sees the effort, when no one affirms your steps, when no one validates your voice, your worth still stands. It does not shift based on applause. It does not waver with the changing opinions of people. It does not rise and fall with the seasons of your life. It is fixed, established, and sealed by the one who formed you with intention. But so often, we allow our worth to be measured by how much we're seen, how often we're chosen, how deeply we're praised. We forget that external validation is fleeting, and when we depend on it, we become fragile. We adjust ourselves to fit into expectations. We perform to be liked. We overextend to be approved. And slowly we begin to compromise who we are, thinking we have to earn what was already given freely. You were not created to be on trial every day, defending your value to people who don't have the to define it. Your worth is not up for debate. It is not something that increases when you succeed or disappears when you stumble. It is not rooted in your relationship status, your productivity, your appearance, or your performance. It is rooted in your identity. And identity isn't built on opinions. It's built on truth. When you know your worth, you move differently. You stop entertaining environments that make you question your enoughness. You stop clinging to people who only love you in pieces. You stop waiting for someone to see you before you decide to show up fully. You begin to live from a place of confidence, not arrogance, but holy confidence, the kind that knows, even if you don't see me, I'm still valuable. Even if you walk away, I'm still whole. Even if I'm not the first choice, I'm still chosen. And yes, the desire to be affirmed is human. Wanting to be appreciated is natural. But there's a difference between appreciation and dependency. When you build your identity around the need to be validated, you'll always be one rejection away from crumbling. But when you root yourself in truth, no storm can undo what's already been established. There's a sacredness to your existence that no one else gets to tamper with. You don't need permission to stand tall. You don't need someone to agree before you believe in your calling. You don't have to wait for a crowd to celebrate you before you decide to show up boldly. The treasure that you are doesn't become more valuable just because someone finally notices it. It was treasure all along. So walk like you know who you are. Choose like you remember who made you. Speak like your words carry weight. Love like you've already been loved well. Because the truth is, you have nothing to prove. You are already enough. Obedience to purpose will always outweigh the temptation to settle. There will always be moments when settling feels easier, when the wait feels long and the promise feels far, when the pressure to accept less than you prayed for grows louder than the whisper of purpose. But the call on your life is not about what is easy. It's about what is eternal. And obedience is the bridge between where you are and what God has prepared for you. Not comfort, not convenience, obedience. It takes courage to obey when nothing makes sense, when everything in you wants to accept the offer that looks good, but lacks God. When walking away from what you thought you wanted feels like failure. But obedience is not about how it looks, it's about where it leads. And where it leads is always greater than what you're tempted to settle for. God doesn't ask for your obedience to restrict you. He asks for it to release you, to usher you into something that only He can see from where He sits. Settling is often packaged as peace, but underneath it is a quiet compromise. It's choosing the relationship that checks most boxes but doesn't stir your spirit. It's accepting the opportunity that validates your ego but not your calling. It's staying in environments that feel safe but suffocate your growth. And the longer you stay in a place that was never meant to hold your purpose, the harder it becomes to recognize yourself. Obedience protects you from that erosion. It aligns you with the timing and strategy of heaven. There's a cost to obedience, but there's a greater cost to disobedience. Choosing to obey may mean walking away from the familiar, from the applause, from the thing everyone else says you should want. But when God calls you higher, it's because He's already made provision for your arrival. He doesn't ask you to let go without preparing what comes next. And when you settle, you miss the encounter that only obedience could lead you to. Obedience is not always loud. Sometimes it's in the quiet nay, when everything in you wants to say yes. Sometimes it's in the pause when you feel rushed to decide. Sometimes it's in walking away from almost, because almost is still not aligned. It's still not fullness. It's still not purpose, and God purpose. And God didn't create you for almost. He created you for overflow. Every time you obey, heaven moves. You might not see it immediately, but the atmosphere shifts. Chains break, doors align. Favor begins to find you in places your effort could never reach. Because obedience opens what hustle cannot. It gives you access to rooms that striving can't unlock. Your purpose requires your yes, not your partial yes. Not your conditional yes, your full surrendered obedient yes. The kind that trusts even when it doesn't understand. The kind that stays faithful when nothing looks certain. Because in the end, obedience will always lead you to what is real, what is lasting, and what is truly yours. Dear woman, if you take nothing else from these words, let it be this. You are worth the wait, the fight, the becoming. You are worth the journey that doesn't make sense to everyone else. You are worth holding out for the kind of love, purpose, and life that doesn't ask you to shrink. You don't need to negotiate your essence just to be accepted. You don't need to speed up your process just because someone else's timeline is louder. What is yours will not miss you when you choose to walk in alignment. There will be moments when the pressure to settle feels unbearable, when silence feels like rejection and waiting feels like punishment. But trust me, it's not punishment, it's preservation. You are being preserved for something specific, something sacred. And sometimes the waiting is not because you're not ready, it's because the blessing is still being built. God doesn't give halfway gifts. He gives exceedingly abundantly. But that kind of blessing requires a vessel that's whole, aware, and ready. Don't mistake delay for denial. And don't mislabel the stretch as abandonment. God is not withholding from you. He's preparing you to receive what He's spoken over you. Preparing you to steward it with grace, wisdom, and wholeness. The temptation to settle will always present itself as a shortcut. But shortcuts often lead to cycles, and cycles are the enemy of purpose. Choose the path that builds you, not the one that binds you. You carry something this world needs to know. Your voice, your story, your perspective. There is no replacement for it. There's a generation waiting on your obedience, waiting on your courage to say no to what looks good so you can say yes to what is God. Waiting on you to walk with boldness, to speak with authority, to live with intentionality. The fullness of your destiny can't manifest in places where you've made peace with being half alive. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. Every step of your journey has been seen. Every tear has been counted. Every moment of hidden obedience has been noted in heaven. And even if you feel overlooked in rooms where everyone else seems celebrated, remember, you've already been chosen by the one whose approval carries eternity. That's enough. So don't settle. Don't settle. Don't choose temporary comfort over long-term calling. Don't water down your dreams to be palatable for people who were never assigned to them. Don't quiet your voice to make others feel louder. Don't rush the process because of timelines that were never yours to begin with. What is yours is worth protecting. Your heart is worth guarding. Your purpose is worth pursuing with everything you have. You are powerful. You are loved. You are called. And above all, you are becoming everything heaven dreamed the day you were formed. Let that becoming be your guide, your anchor, your yes. Because when you choose not to settle, you give God room to do what only He can do, exceedingly abundantly, above all you could ask or imagine.